Hi, and welcome to New England L5R. This is our 10th podcast episode. As always, I'm Erik, and with me, as always, is Luis
Hello, hi.
and Brandon.
What's going on, everybody?
And our special guests this week are Kyle,
Hello, hello.
and joining us shortly once he's done bringing out the dog is Derek.
Woof.
Let's just roll right into it. Local news. We had one tournament last weekend. Did anybody here go? Oh no, God, we should skip this until Derek comes back, huh?
Yeah, we should just put that off till Derek comes back because he was actually there.
Okay. Yeah, he was there. So let's roll into
next
upcoming
weekend,
events.
though.
Yeah. So next weekend's a doubleheader. We're gonna be cracking hard at the Battle Standard in Connecticut, and then up north going to Midgard Games in New Hampshire. The Midgard Games one last month was dope.
Fucking
And it
banger.
had-
Ton of people.
Yeah, it had like almost 20 people, and it was very competitive and super fun. And this time there should be even more people because they have like custom prizes for it. Super sweet playmat. The Battle Standard event that I'm going to host is going to be nowhere near as cool, but people should still come so I don't kill myself.
It is. It's gonna be pretty cool, and the Battle Standard is a really, really cool place. We've been
It's a nice
there
store.
twice now. Once to play and once to stop in.
It's a super nice, cool store with some cool places to eat, and it's where I run events, so I'll be there.
He will.
So that might be in
Like
there.
at least
I don't know.
Erik, and he's a Hatamoto now. I mean, he's Hollywood, so you get like an autograph.
You can. I've already signed one autographed.
Yeah, which
So-
that was actually super cool. Like I joke about it, but that was like awesome.
So I guess we'll come back to the diversions thing later. So we'll just go into section 2.
Sounds good to me.
Luis, why don't you take it away?
Sure. Well, there's a couple things happening. I'm going to start off with the unicorn stuff, and then we'll roll into some more. So while we were gone, or perhaps while we, just kind of missed it because our schedule's a little weird, the stat line, not the stat line, but the concept of the stat line for the community-created unicorn card was decided. On the stream right now, you will see how will our samurai skills be distributed. There were about 2,000 responses, 1,834 to be exact. There was a fair few options, but the winner by a little bit was Balanced Skills High Glory. A lot of people feel a lot of different ways about this. I'm mildly hopeful that the card isn't going to stink, but we're going to see.
I'm surprised there's no low glory option. It really makes it feel like they were gonna push this card to be a battle maiden.
Yeah, I mean, which is good to keep in flavor because people want the Battle Maiden stuff. They want the Utaku family stuff.
Derek's here. Hi, Derek.
Hello, Derek. All right, good talk.
All right.
People have been kind of mixed on this because High Glory and Unicorn can be tough. It could be another character with Pride, which would be interesting, although difficult to leverage sometimes. There was a little bit of tinfoil hattery going on, which I kind of, I'm somewhat on the fence about. I partially agree and partially disagree. People were talking about, this is a direct quote, and I do not, share this exact sentiment. But they were basically saying this is why you don't allow a community to vote on actual numbers or the concept of them. Because the idea is that balanced skills and high glory is the highest likelihood to be dead on stats. So, like having a high glory with balanced stats could mean that your stats are just a super weak stat line even if you have a pushed ability.
Yeah, but
Not sure
mean,
I fully agree, but
it could also mean that it's like a 4/4 with 2 glory. So then
yeah, like
it's
high
still
glory
2,
could be
but,
considered 2 here, right? You know
Yeah,
what
I
I mean?
mean, like 2 is pretty high.
Yeah, 2 is
like,
pretty
low,
high.
Like low glory would have to be 0. Medium glory is like 1, maybe 2. High glory, I guess 3, but I would be astounded to see a unicorn with glory 4 or 5. There's no 5 glory characters in the game. So like the chart is
It's a little tough to gauge for sure.
I mean, yeah, in this game right now, as it is, glory is, especially in a clan that can't really interact with it, much more of a negative than a positive. But like,
Yeah.
hopefully, Utaku will move into. We've already seen some with like some spoiled cards that we'll look at coming up that they're giving Unicorn in clan ways to honor characters. So like, while it could be bad right now, in the future it might not be terrible. But
I'm gonna tinfoil a hat for 15 seconds.
hi, Derek.
Hi. The other advantage to not having numbers and just saying things like medium and high is that it means whatever they want it to mean, which is fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of ways that they can quote unquote like creatively interpret their own words to make it work.
I mean, I guess you could say like a medium glory could be 2, but a high glory could be 3, but 3 could also be medium. Yeah, I guess you could just say whatever you want to say. The card's probably already made.
Yeah, I mean, it just beggars the question, like, how much of the votes for Balance Skills High Glory was people out of the clan trying to sabotage? I don't fully buy that there was a ton of people, but at the same time, I can't imagine people who want the card to be good, like, voting for that option. Maybe I'm a bit too pessimistic, but...
Keep in mind that the competitive group of people does not make up the whole clan's fan base.
Right, for sure.
Some
And
people
I mean,
care
Balance
about
Skills High
competitive
Glory
vibe.
also just fits very much thematically with like the
Yes.
Battle Maiden theme that most people who play Unicorn seem to be very into.
Competitive players are a small subset of the game's player base, and just because we can identify that the choice they picked is not good, doesn't mean it's not what the community wants.
Yeah, for this vote, like, I don't know. I didn't even try and sabotage it. Like, this one I didn't vote because I don't care.
I also
But,
did
like,
not vote.
But, like, the one
I just
before,
forgot.
like, I'm more interested in out-of-clan allies than other random stuff, and that's probably not the best mechanical one. It just sounded interesting.
Yeah, it's also, I mean, it's just the coolest thing that Unicorn does, in my opinion, personally.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Like,
So,
the Burning
I didn't
Sands,
try and
motherfucker.
min-max it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I
Burning
think,
Sands and Naga and
Yeah, and that's, like, if it's more, like, Gaijin Customs or something, that's not really what I'm looking for. But, like, Naga and stuff, that sounds...
that
I would
sounds
love
cooler
for
than
some
horses, that's for sure.
Burning Sands related would be sick.
Give me Yajinden or give me Undeath. Let's,
Do we have
next
more unicorn stuff, or we want to hop backwards for a second?
I think we should just clear out the Unicorn stuff first, and then hop into
Okay.
that and move in. The Unicorn Clan pack, as everybody knows, or now knows for sure, is going to be the next one. Again, as you can see on stream, this art is amazing. This art is clearly Shagatai. Like, if this is not Shagatai, I will be utterly shocked, because this is very clearly Shagatai.
So the question then is, how are we going to get him in the game, if at all? And like, what craziness needs to happen for that to be?
Just change the timeline slightly. It could also just be Gaharis, which was Shag's father, but if they made this Gaharis, and it's literally Shag's as far as I'm concerned. Derek?
I was just going to say he's technically not alive yet, but it sure looks like.
I mean, they've altered the timeline a little bit already with a couple characters, if I recall. So they're not, like, opposed to it.
So my concern with this being Shagatai is I don't know how he would be the Khan if he is the Khan. My understanding, and Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, is that when Shinjo showed back up, all of the Shinjo family were like super crazy in bed with the Kolot, and so they just like got kicked out of power, and then the Motos took over, and that's why Moto Shagatai is the Khan at one point. But in the timeline that we're currently in, and even if we look at, like, for instance, Alton Sarnai's letter that she sent to the clan before Worlds, she signs it as Khan of Khans. So like, she is currently the Khan. So like, who knows? Maybe he'll just be not the Khan, and then later on he'll be like a super chill, awesome Khan.
A super chill, awesome Khan.
Yeah, it's like the best kind of Khan.
He could just, not be the Khan, but Mike can elaborate more on that.
I've been summoned from the depths of my lore chamber. So yeah, it's timeline-wise, you're absolutely correct. with everything, Brandon, where it was basically all of the Shinjo family daimyos were basically coal lot masters. And when Shinjo was freed from the Burning Sands, she came back with the Scorpion clan after their exile and walked into her clan, saw through everything, and then basically wiped out half the Shinjo family, except for like Shinjo Shono and like those loyal to him, because he was like the one dude who wasn't a coal lot. Dishonored the entire Shinjo family. Um, Basically, they were basically living the rest of the time as Dishonored, and then she gave the title to the Moto family because they were the ones who basically stuck true to like the original Kirin's mission with everything. And the first Khan was Moto Gaharis, and then
And then his son was Shagatai.
Exactly.
So the question is, with now that we know what the premise of the book is, which should be coming out at the same time of the clan pack, where like Shono goes and deals with like effectively maybe some Burning Sands folk. Maybe we'll see like Shinjo just like show back up in the book,
I don't
because
think
that would be like
I don't think you're going to see
amazing.
that because the game has been very careful so far about playing around with the whole god complex with like walking gods on and everything else in that regard. Like they've been very good about keeping it just the mortal men aspect. Like even the Shadowlands hasn't been that big of a threat in regards to thing outside of like the crab fictions, and there hasn't really been a whole lot of like discussion with the taint or things in that regard. I think what you're going to see in the book is you're going to see Shono go into the Burning Sands with Gaharis. I think Gaharis is probably the Moto family daimyo at this point in time, and I think you're going to see kind of just like how in the Scorpion book, you had the buddy cop basically. I think you're going to kind of have the same, where instead of the buddy cop, you're going to have the grizzled veteran in Gaharis versus the like young, youthful, like happy guy in Shono.
All I'm saying, all I'm gonna say on this is, if they have this guy with the big fucking Shagatai scar on his cheek, and they're like, actually it's Gaharis, fuck you, FFG. This is Shags. But continue.
Well, I mean, Gaharis was also a scarred up motherfucker if you look at his original art too.
Yeah, but this is Shagatai's scar. Look at this man. Look at this beautiful
It is,
man.
but- and it's
God,
also-
I want him
and
to
he's-
punch me in the face.
He's
Or
he's also
maybe we just
significantly younger.
won't have any of them.
It's just like a random guy. He's like a nameless
It's just
character.
it's
that
just
costs
a
one.
nameless like 2-2 moto guy that costs 3.
Perfect.
That could very well be it as well. Like
Yeah,
I'm
'cause-
very curious with what they do.
Yeah, because you were saying, Mike, so far for the other two, with Tadaka and Aramoro being on the clan pack cover, they spoiled that card the same time that they put it the very first post about the clan pack. So, like, maybe they're trying to avoid being really disappointed until, like, the very last second when people open the pack. I don't know. That sounds like a bad strategy, but hopefully that's not what we're seeing.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's like I said, I'm very curious. So far, like for all the faults FFG has done in regards to the card game, they've done an incredible job with the lore and the story and the writing and everything else. So I'm very confident
Yeah.
that they can do it the correct way.
It's actually not gonna suck.
So I'm gonna return to the depths of my chamber now.
That's fine. Last note here. On the subject of unicorns, my newest husband is getting a really good full art in the book. The novella is going to be called Across the Burning Sands, and the full art cards
He's so
are
fucking
Shinjo
kawaii.
Shono. He is, and I don't know the second card. I'm gonna keep it super.
Uh,
Oh, Utaku Battlesteed.
yeah.
This, I believe, is a new card, which we can cover at
Yeah,
a
this
later
is
date.
not-
We'll be covering a lot of the spoilers that we've missed next episode. We've just got a lot to get through, so don't
mean,
worry. We'll
Let's
give
talk
our
about it
thoughts.
right now.
Fuck it. It is a one fate
I already
attachment that gives +1 military, +1 political skill. It attaches to a unicorn character. Attached character gains the cavalry trait and has a reaction after attached character wins a military conflict. Honor attached character. It costs 1 influence.
I think this card's good.
I think it's decent. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not sure.
I think it has a solid chance to see play.
I'm not sure what it makes the cutover, but I'm also not sure that it's like not good enough, because in particular, if they're adding some more Utaku cards, they're likely to have mid to high glory, so this will see some decent, usage. And cavalry
So-
trait's nice.
A real thing to note about it is that it's like only the upside of pride.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause the downside of pride really hurts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more glory interaction for a clan that basically can't interact with glory.
Yeah,
Any glory interaction like outside of Scorpion and Crane, I feel like is a welcome card.
for sure.
It being an attachment that costs money, is always a hit against any card that is an attachment that it doesn't cost 0. That's a hit against the card. But like, I think this is pretty good.
It also just has stats. Like, I know
Yeah.
that's stupid, but like, it just gives you +1/+1.
I'm just not sure about the 1 fate cost. I feel like this could have been 0
Right.
fate and probably wouldn't have been overpowered at all. I could be wrong. I haven't play tested it, but
I bet at 0.
no,
0 for
I-
+1/+1 might be too much.
I bet at 0 this card would be kind of dumb.
could be. I'm just not sure I could pay 1 for it. I mean, I'd rather
At
pay
0,
1 for
they
Force of the
probably-
River.
At 0, they probably have to drop one of the stats on it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That would be more in line with other 0 cost things as well.
Right. I
Like
think
this would
0
be
for
strictly better Seal of the
1/+0.
Unicorn, as a matter of fact, if it was 0. It would
I
be-
also one more thought about it costing 1 and that being a hit against it. While that's technically true, I don't think that's actually true in Unicorn. You're not going to let go of this. Like, they have
Very true.
That's
Talisman
super fair.
and Spyglass and the summoning like river spirit thing. Like, you're not going to play let go on this if you do your best.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's
I-
a
there's
very,
Too
very
many
fair
other
point.
point.
like S tier targets.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
This
if
is
your
just
opponent
like,
plays
you paid a
let go
fate
on
for it, I guess.
Yeah, you probably get really excited if your opponent let goes of this.
Yeah,
I'm
that
just
is a
happy
very good
because
point.
This is going to be a novel where the 2 cards coming in are like
Like, legit.
happy to get them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look at
Instead
that
of
fucking
T0 and
Shono art. It's
Infiltrator.
so good,
Yeah.
dude. God, it's good.
fucking
I fucking
sick.
love it.
Yeah, it's
Those
sick
pastel
as-
colors, amazing. This is the best full art they've
It-
done so far, for
Yeah,
sure.
like, and the stats are on the left. Like, what even? What more could we?
Yep.
Super kawaii.
All right. Well, that covers unicorn stuff for now. We will be back with more spoilers next week, though, for sure. Let's hop back a second and talk about one of the
That's-
events we missed that was locally. Sorry, Eric?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm surprised that we're not covering more of the cards, but I must have missed that.
Yeah, you sure did.
All right,
Because
cool,
there's
cool.
a billion of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways, the Diversion Store Championship happened while we were at PAX.
Derek, take it
Um,
away.
Yeah, Derek, what's up?
Woo!
Good job.
I flipped the table. I'm done playing line. It's like dumpster tier. So I played Dragon. I had 2 warm-up games where I played against Phoenix. I went 1-1. And then games 3, 4, and 5 were this tournament. And Dragon's really good, so I won.
All right.
Welcome to playing
so-
L5R. I'm glad that you've joined us finally.
Impactful analysis. How
I
was the finals against Devin?
So
He's a good player.
yeah,
Oh, he was playing Scorpion.
Yeah, he was.
yeah. So in the first round, I played against Crane and played against Nick.
He's a good player too.
Nick's a good player. He was top Crane in a Discord Cup, I think.
Yes.
Sure was.
So that game, there's like a point where he makes a play mistake toward the end where he forgets to get rid of my Finger of Jade before he plays his For Shame. But I'm not sure that it mattered. I was pretty far ahead by then. In the second round, I played against the other Dragon player who seemed kind of new. And then, yeah, in the final, I played against Devin, who normally plays Crane, but he's very good.
Crane Hatamoto.
Yes. So I'm going to sound dismissive here, but playing against Scorpion with real cards felt like I had been training with weights. And then
Yeah.
I like dropped them all.
It's like
and
Goku with the weighted clothes, dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're like Piccolo at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
yeah, it felt amazing. Like he got rid of my seal and then played his magistrate, and I played another seal and void fisted him out, and that was like the closest to interacting that we got.
Sounds about right.
Feels
Yeah, so and just like to kill someone when they have like 20 cards in hand was pretty sweet.
good. Oh boy.
So I guess thoughts on Dragon. These are like super noob thoughts because again I've only played them 5 times, but Pathfinder's Blade is amazing.
Oh, it sure is.
Nidden Master is like the card that's always rumored to be cut, and I never understood that, but now I totally understand.
Yep, definitely almost the worst card in your Dynasty deck, which is laughable.
Yeah.
It's
Like
so
it's still
weird.
incredible. It just doesn't feel good because all your other options are more incredible.
It
Yeah,
costs like half a fate too much somehow.
Yep.
Yeah, basically.
It's the weirdest thing in the world.
He gets potato and you feel really, really bad.
Yeah, it's so, but like Regatugu is like so good. So
Yeah. Like your 3
Uh,
drops are just fucking incredible.
so I think I'm gonna play Dragon for a little while. Because it was good. I played like Dragon's actually what I played in the old game. So I'm just gonna
Oh
stick
wow. I genuinely would never have like pegged you as a dragon
Yeah,
player.
that's surprising with how
You-
hardcore of a lion player you
Yeah,
are.
I got to keep it real. Like as much as we butted heads over some stuff, I've always respected that. Like you did stick with Lion as long as I think is humanly possible. Like I don't blame you for hopping off now at this point because, god damn man, you've nobody knows the trouble you've seen, my man.
You're
Yeah,
almost the last person on a sinking ship.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
still that weird French Canadian dude trying to play Scorpion cards. He's still on there, going down with the ship.
hey,
Philip?
good for him if that's
Yeah,
how he feels.
I
Philippe,
got
yeah.
I got to play him in the Proving Grounds at PAX. He's
You
Go-
totally
you
cut out.
I said I got to play him on the Proving Grounds at PAX, and Philip is a pretty cool guy. We were chatting and we played an enlightenment pod after the game. So
He's very positive. I can appreciate it.
Keeping your head up while water fills the
Was-
room that you're in is definitely respectable.
Was Diversions cool? I've never been there.
It was tough to park because I got kind of lost. But
Sure.
yeah, they have a good space to play and stuff.
Yeah, I
Cool.
super want to be able to hit there sometime. It's just really far away from me personally. So, but
I usually
someday
run
I hope
my-
to go there.
I usually run my events in Connecticut on the first Saturday of the month, and Seth also runs his events on the first Saturday of the month, so I'll probably never get to go. But
Yeah.
Seth's a
Oh.
really cool guy, so I won't be hurt if you.
I
choose to
didn't
go to
even
him.
know Seth was actually the one running those events. Shout out to Seth.
Yeah,
Super
yes.
cool guy.
He is super cool. Hopefully, we'll see him at like Midgard or something. But
Here's
Yeah.
hoping.
He also awarded like the coolest trophy I've seen in L5R.
yeah, he
in a
had
long
a
time.
trophy for a 6-person tournament. He's going all out.
Yeah,
He does way more work than me.
they had
it's
some
sick,
badass
dude.
prizes. Your small samurai man.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can probably talk about Dragon some more, but I don't know if I can say anything that hasn't been said before. I beat
Dragon
a really,
be
really
that
good
way.
player after having played this clan 4 times.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, I mean,
to
that-
be
that
in
can speak to
fairness,
your
there's
skill
a
as a player too.
yeah. In fairness, there's a lot of overlap in regards to just playing the game as the game
Yeah.
quote unquote should be played. So just being a good player translates heavily to most clans. I'd say the only clan that really plays its own game entirely is Scorpion, and even then you can kind of transfer a lot of stuff to it.
I guess my final thought too, if you're like trying to, so someone in the comments is actually saying, didn't Devin noble stack my 3 Fate Nint Master and I still won? It was actually a 4 Fate Nint Master that he noble stacked, and I still won going away. It was not a
Oh,
competitive
okay.
game.
hot
So
hot damn.
Good old Dragon.
I got blown out by 8 Fate, and it was not enough.
Yeah,
So-
sounds correct.
I guess if you're like trying to learn to play Dragon, I have a tip, which is basically that if you walk up to a game between Dragon and most other clans, and like the Dragon player has lost a province or two, and the other player hasn't, and it's like turn 1 or the beginning of turn 2, you're going to be like tempted to say the Dragon player is losing, and you need to look at how much faith they have. Because as I got better at playing Dragon, I would like intentionally lose the first turn.
Yeah,
And
dude,
then
you just
go
play
into turn
investment
2.
banker strategy. Like,
Yeah, you just go into turn 2 with like 14 or 15 fate or something, and you're like, wow, this is dumb.
Dragon, I think, might actually be like the control deck. I think
I
they
think-
might play the best sit there and do nothing game in the whole game.
I think that might be right. It's not controlled compared to other games,
Right.
but
it's almost like
I
an
think-
L5R version of it.
Because
yeah,
you play completely off of your dynasty, like almost completely, like that's where all of your power is packed in. Your power scales so well into the late game, and you can never run out of gas. Because like you're not gonna like go through your whole dynasty deck like a Scorpion in 6 turns will go through his whole conflict deck. Like I'll eventually run out of answers, but if you like do nothing for the first 2 turns and then every turn just play a like busted like S tier dynasty card with 6 fate on it, like That's
mean-
like this game's version of Control.
I think calling
Yeah.
Dragon's Dynasty cards S tier is like not quite putting it into light properly. It's more like I don't know, SSS plus, but you know.
I guess my final thought about that too is that this game feels like there's in some games you like buy resource cards that like put you behind, but like in later turns you have
Sure.
or you play in Magic you play rampant growth so that later you have more lands.
Right.
This game doesn't have that, but when you put a lot of fate on a guy, that's kind of what you're doing. And so people who aren't fating their guys enough, you run out of gas and then you lose. And I think Dragon gets a lot, or maybe the most, out of putting just a ton of fate on one dude. Even clans that fade a little bit, you put like 2 on a guy or something. Dragon's like, that's fine, this guy can be here the whole game. I'll just put 4 on him.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
four you can still realistically clear it in one game. So
it's
That
about
might
their
not even be
value
enough.
generation. Their dynasty cards being so powerful, putting that much fate on them makes the most sense because those cards are going to generate so much value on the time they spend there. Whether it's Raitsugu choking your opponent out of military conflicts, or a card like Hitsuki Investigator, which, just gives you information and denies them their best card every turn.
and the value comes from not just the insane stats, or not the insane stats, the insane text on the cards. Like Raitsugu just takes away value from your opponent's characters every turn, but also it's a clan based completely around attachments, and every turn an attachment stays around, you're gaining increasing value.
Yeah. They got to do something
Yeah.
about those attachments someday, bud.
And like, if you play Ratsugu with 5 or something, right? You're paying 8, which is a lot on the first turn. And your opponent's gonna like overwhelm you in that turn because they're gonna have 8 dudes or whatever. But like, it kind of turns Ratsugu into this like 1.6, or I didn't do the math, but whatever it is, fate per turn. There's no way your opponent can buy Ratsugu with all those attachments for 1.6 fate a turn.
Yeah,
Right.
That's not gonna happen.
for
So
sure.
Dragon's real good.
Dragon's real
Dragon's
good.
super good.
Yeah, they do work.
Speaking of Dragon, they won PAX.
Yeah, speaking of Dragon, let's
Yay.
talk about how there was 2.
Oh my gosh.
Big shouts out to Imperial Advisor for doing the work that I would do if I had to, but absolutely would not do at all if I don't have to. Shouts out to
Literally
Baz
no
as well.
reason. Yeah, Baz is the man. He's literally like carrying the community on his solo back.
So, on screen right now, we have the Imperial Advisor meta check for Pax Unplugged. We're looking at attendance right now, so this is just the numbers for, all the clans, the amount that joined. 8 Crab, 15 Crane, 8 Dragon, 6 Lion, 7 Phoenix, 17 Scorpion, and 6 Unicorn. Immediately very, very heartwarming numbers. Really hopeful here.
I think 12 people in this tournament lost it before it started, and I think 15 people went like X2 before it started.
So you're talking about Unicorn and Lion, and then
Crab and Phoenix.
Phoenix and Crab.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, a Crab did go X and 2, but did make it to top 4, and a Unicorn player did make it to top 8.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of, that Unicorn player is a beast, for the record. Just
Yeah.
monster.
He's a really
Absolutely.
cool
Yes.
dude.
Yeah,
And he was
shout
really
out
good.
Absolute shout out to Sigmund from the Carcosa Club. He's super fun guy to play against. I played him in Swiss, and he was like rocking the ponies. So well done.
I
Absolutely.
played
good
him
job.
in top 8, and it was fucking horrifying.
Yeah. Sweating bullets the whole time, baby.
Not only turn 1 did he claim a fire ring to trigger a keeper and ended the turn 1 with having 5 dudes. He also on like turn 3 or 4 suddenly all of a sudden had like over 20 fate.
Yeah, that was
So
incredible.
like I don't even know how those two things happen in one
Like-
game, but they sure did.
He was crabbing harder than me, and that was on 1x yurt. Like, he didn't like yurt for all that fate. I looked over and I was like, wow, like he's got like 25 fate and he's playing Unicorn. That's weird, I guess. And it
And-
worked.
and
Like, he was doing work.
On like turn 4, he was like, here's a flop I've been looking for the whole game, and then played like a Shono 4 fate, a Shahai 2 fate, and a Master like 3 fate, and I was like, I think I just lose.
Oh, a bunch of guys.
Spoilers, I didn't lose.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Let's
I have a lot to say about that.
for sure. We'll cover this stuff. Like, let me just run through the numbers, basically.
Yeah,
Not
no,
to cut anybody off. So qualifiers qualifying for day 2. We had 1 crab. Shouts out to Max holding it down. I hate myself. 6 crane, 2 dragon, 0 lion, 0 phoenix, 6 scorpion, and 1 unicorn. That is a 12% qualification rate for crab, a 40% qualification rate for crane, a 25% qualification rate for dragon, a 35% qualification rate for scorpion, and a 17% qualification rate for unicorn. Once again, these
So-
numbers really bode well. They look good.
The crane players who showed up, like almost all of the crane players were really, really strong. And none of them seemed like they were crane bandwagoning. Like all of them seemed to be crane diehards. And there's just a lot of crane in this game.
Yeah,
I don't
crane's a very
think-
popular clan.
Like Crane was very well positioned to do well in this tournament, but I think their numbers would have been the same even if they weren't.
Crane was really popular on the old game too, even when they were bad.
Yeah, they've always just been popular.
This
Yeah.
was. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, and right now they're not bad, right?
Right.
They
this
have
is the
they have
one
some of the
weekend.
most. Yeah, this is like the one weekend where they have no restricted cards. Well, I mean, technically they have 2 restricted cards in play, and like they just have all of the gas and all of the tools. 100% of my losses in Pax Unplugged were to.
Yeah, I could fucking tell, dude.
They are not supposed to be able to play Feast or Famine plus another restricted card.
Miyamoto's fucking fury.
Well, in top 16, the crane that I played was on Dragon Splash, but had Policy Debate
Policy
instead.
debate. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're not supposed to be able to run Feast or Famine plus another card, but because FFG is taking its time in releasing this new restricted list, they were allowed to for this one tournament. So Crane was positioned to do very well.
Yeah, buddy. So, I don't have the top 16 pulled up as far as names go, but what we can say is that New England L5R representatives were comprising about 20% of it, which is fucking dope. So let's
Yeah, we had
run
a
through
lot of-
that. I mean, we had Ian, Brandon. Hello, Ian, and welcome.
Ian's here, by the way.
Yeah,
Oh,
Ian's
hi.
here. Hello. So it was Ian, Brandon, and Erik all repping for NEL5R in the top 16. Let's hear how that went.
Who wants to go first? Brandon?
It went pretty well. So do we want to just talk about how we did and then like Swiss versus top or what? Yeah, that sounds
Just go
good.
for it, brother.
Cool.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
whatever you want.
So like, yeah. So I was doing pretty well in the early rounds. I was 4-0 in going in round 5, and then I had already taken 1 crane out. And then I went to go ahead and play my second and third crane players of the day, and I did not win, but my breakers were pretty high. I think some of my some of the folks that I had played against, like the crane player that I beat, ended up in top 16. The unicorn player that I beat ended up in top 16. I didn't end up playing any of the dragon players, but everyone else I did was like 3-3. So my breakers were really good, got me into top 16, and then I lost to a crane player who ended up making it into top 8, and then got knocked out by Neil, I believe. Or maybe it wasn't Neil actually. I think
it
he
was Max.
played. Oh yeah, he played Max, the crab player. Yeah. So there was my crane opponent lost, that beat me in top 16, lost to the crab player in top 8. But all in all, had a great time. Making the top cut of a Kote is always exciting, and got to see a whole bunch of really cool people, not just like the local folks that I talk to every week, but also a bunch of the people that have made this community one of the best gaming communities that I've ever known. Got to see them again. Glad I could see Steve Palumbo one last time before he quits
His
L5R
break.
to have children forever. And he's not quitting the game, but he's probably not going to be at any big events for a while. Hopefully we'll see him at Worlds next year though.
Shout out to Palumbo. He's cool as hell.
Ian.
So, going into this tournament, I made a crucial deck construction error. that really screwed my dragon matchup and made the crane matchup harder than it had to be, then I made the brilliant tactical decision of round 1 being paired against someone who is going to do well and losing to them, then proceeding to crush 4 players' dreams in the losers bracket, and then finally when I came up against Erik in round 6, day 1, he was more tired than I was. So even though it was
That's
the
probably true.
Scorpion mirror that could have gone either way, that particular day it went to me, and I made the top cut anyway.
You are favored in a matchup between us for sure.
I honestly disagree.
Okay, I'd like to know why.
So like experimentally, that's true. Like over the past like 3 matches, like ever since I switched to Crane Splash, which is what happened when we
Secret
got the
Bear.
new role, like, and you kept on Dragon Splash, my deck has more blowout potential than yours does. But I am still perhaps foolishly like splitting my deck to be a switch deck between Dishonor or Breaking Provinces, depending on how each match goes. But in the Scorpion match, it is almost always incorrect to try to even bother breaking, because you know somebody's going to be dishonored because both of you are dishonoring both of you. So a non-trivial portion of my deck is dedicated to cards that are going into not that are not applying to the win con that's going to matter. They're applying to a different win con which is not going to matter. And the extra like attachment hate that you're getting out of your Dragon Splash, which would normally be dead in the Scorpion matchup, is not dead against my deck because there's attachments in there, because I do not have other good answers to Guest of Honor. So this comes back to in the top 16. Now, well, not top 16, the day 1. Now, most people will tell you that Cloud the Mind is a very good card because it is, but they will also tell you that you need Shugenjas to run Cloud the Mind, and I'm not a huge fan of a lot of Scorpion Shugenjas. We have a couple really good ones, but not enough to reliably run it. So because people are going to save their attachment hate for Cloud the Mind anyway, I made the like judgment call to put 0 Cloud the Minds in my deck. But if you're playing in a closed deck list, nobody's going to know that, and I'm just going to kill their attachment hate despite running attachments, which worked great day 1. And it worked out day 2 also because I successfully dodged Crane both days. Now, once the deck lists are open, like if your opponent is paying any attention, this becomes something of a liability. You can play whatever, like a swordsmith with like 7 fate and a reprieve, and I have no answers to it because I can't cloud him. This is kind of a tangent as to like why I am like not actually favored against Erik, but I believe that like the total point is that my deck is kind of based around a like meta matchup in which I am not playing against Scorpion, and his not to say that he's made a mistake in designing his deck or anything, but his deck suffers less for playing Scorpion instead of playing L5R.
Ooh, I like that quote.
Anyway, so then the top 16 happened. I honestly don't remember the like 16s bracket. I assume that I won it because I then went on to the 8s bracket to play the Scorpion Mirror. This is like
Definitely did win.
This is a critical piece of advice for the Scorpion Mirror. Step 1, win the Earth Ring. Step 2, hit the other guy's duty. And then you win. So that worked.
I like that
well.
strategy. That's a really strong strategy, actually.
So
Yeah, that's some good advice.
So I mean, I'm making it sound like I like basically lucked my way up into the top 4, which isn't false. But I want to make it clear that like you couldn't take some guy off the street and like stack all the decks the same way they were and get them into top 4.
It takes a little bit of luck to have a good run in any tournament.
Right. Like you need to know what you're doing and also get lucky.
Yeah,
And
I would say
that's what I did.
I would say especially in such a high variance game as L5R, where instead of being able to play 3 games, you play 1 per round. So I think that even players who play very well sometimes like you just don't have the answers and it's just not enough.
So then top 4 I came into a Neil, and I knew going into that, like, he's got something of a reputation of being good at L5R.
Yeah, he's
And
not
as I
bad.
previously established, I realized at this point that I'd made critical deck building errors that really hurt my dragon matchup. So going in, I knew that I was not particularly favored, but I also knew that my deck was different enough for most Scorpions that he wouldn't realize until much later into the game that I was going to try to break his stronghold, which gave me a fighting chance, I think, since there were several situations where he didn't defend a conflict or just gave me a break. And, obviously I can't read his mind, but I can only assume it was because he was trying to remove a vulnerable province from his row and didn't realize he was advancing a wind con I was actually pursuing. In the end, I did end up losing, but there's one moment in the game I kind of want to bring to the attention of the cast, just because I thought about it afterwards, and I realized that even though it was a situation in which what I did was two situations, but it was a situation in which what I did was the conventional call, but I think it was also the incorrect call. So I had a blackmail artist. It doesn't matter what. I had a weenie who was attacking one of his provinces, Pilgrimage. The fact that it was Pilgrimage didn't matter because I was really going for the air ring off of blackmail artist. And he defends with Vaisugu. Now, despite having like 2 fate in his fate pool, he hasn't put a finger of jade on Vaisugu. So from this, I conclude that he hasn't drawn one. And I've got in my hand a Fate Worse Than Death. And rather than playing that 1 card to send Vaisugu out and take a fate off of him and dishonor him and all that, I instead play Way of the Scorpion followed by For Shame. My logic was that I gotta flip Restoration eventually, and the more cards I play, like, usefully, like, between now and then, the better. So it's better to play 2 cards and 0 fate than 1 card and 4 fate. But on further reflection, I think it would have been correct to play a Fate Worse Than Death. Even though, like, taking a Vaisugu from, like, 3 fate to 2 fate, is not that, it's not a, like, major blowout. I still have to deal with him probably for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Although, if I'm lucky, he'll eventually die, but maybe he won't. But if I don't play that Fate Worse Than Death now, Anil's going to draw a Finger of Jade, and I'm going to have no opportunities to play it later because he's not going to pop it for anything like it's not a Fate Worse Than Death or a Noble Sack or a I Can Swim.
Exactly.
So I thought that situation was interesting enough to bring up. And something that happened earlier in that same turn, he's got 4 face-down provinces, and I am the second player. So I'm going to make the last attack of the turn. But before I do, I play the card Peasant's Advice.
Oh my god.
So I ditch one of his favorable grounds to peek at one of his province, and I'm thinking, yes, I'm in the clear. I'm going to, like, either know what Restoration is and dodge it, or know what isn't Restoration and then dodge Restoration that way.
Was it Pilgrimage?
But it was Pilgrimage, so now I'm in a dilemma because
I think Erik had that same issue, right?
So I can either, like, knowingly attack Pilgrimage or take the 1 in 3 chance to attack Restoration.
Yep.
And I went for Pilgrimage, and I believe that was the incorrect decision.
I agree.
Because at this point, I have 8 cards in hand, and I could have made it 7 by playing a Fiery Madness on Vaisugu.
That Restoration only hurts more over time.
It's only going to hurt more. So at that point, like, attacking into Pilgrimage, like, even though I'm winning the conflict, I'm not going to, like, get the ring effect, and I can't break it. So I believe it would have been correct to take the 1 in 3 chance,
Yeah.
and even have been happy if I hit restoration at that point.
I think you take that chance 100% of the time.
Absolutely. So I think those were 2 play mistakes I made. There were others, although the other ones were less teachable moments and more like, "What are you doing, you idiot?" So I'm not going to elaborate on them, but I think that's worth talking about for anyone who finds themselves in the Scorpion Dragon matchup. Which, even though Dragon is strangely not as popular as you'd think, given how good it is, I honestly think that like a properly played Dragon deck is as hard for Scorpion, if not harder than Crane.
I believe Shen
So
says
that's
something
about-
similar.
Right, right.
Shen, I don't want to misquote him, but I think in the past he said that in his eyes that matchup, Scorpion and a Dragon, is just like unwinnable. But he also does play against a NEL, who is an android sent from the future, so there's like a big.
Well,
it
again, I
depends.
was also playing against the Neil, so I'm going to
Yeah.
use the same excuse.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so that
That's
was
the
the end
excuse
of
I'm gonna use too.
that was the end of my chance at getting to the top 2. And I guess Erik can take it from here and describe the other side of the bracket.
Cool. So I came in second place. I'm a Scorpion Hatamoto.
The first Hatamoto of the new season, the new God King, Erik Stenberg.
Yeah, it was fucking sweet. It was the most nerve-wracking experience probably of my life. I've never been more anxious than I was going into the top 16 match, especially because at the time I knew it was against Crane, and Anil came over to both of us and said, "Whoever wins, he will scoop into Hatamoto," because he thought he was on our side of the bracket. So both of us were super nervous, but turns out he wasn't even on the side of the bracket. I got super lucky in top 16, and at time on the last turn was able to break 1 province to gain 2 points because he had 2 points over me on honor. So it was 2-2. He had broken none of my provinces. And then at the end of the turn, with my last 1 fate that I got off the ring I attacked with, I played an Ancient Master to snake the whole game.
It's good that they printed 2 glory on that card.
Yeah. Ancient Master's sick. I never want to play without it. It's one of the reasons why I play Dragon Splash and still do, even though the Crane deck Splash deck's probably better.
So
Go
that
ahead.
was Dennis. I can't remember his last name. I'm pretty sure his first name was
Murphy.
Dennis, though. Murphy, yeah. So he was my 6th round of Swiss opponent that beat me by we had like a really close game, but he got it in the end. And then I also played him after top 16, after you knocked him out, and as our both of our first round in the proving ground, and I got him in a similar method. I like won by like a point or 2 on breakers, not with the other guy, but it's.
Yeah, are you
Oh, yeah,
20,000
sorry,
leagues
yeah.
under the sea?
Sorry, I was 20,000 leagues under the sea, but yeah, Dennis Murphy's super cool guy. I played him. He
Yes.
beat me in the 6th round of Swiss, and then I proceeded to pull in Erik on him in the first round of Proving Grounds. It was pretty great.
That poor
Dennis
boy.
was a super cool opponent, and I really enjoyed it, and I felt horrible for beating him the way I did. I apologize profusely, but, still moved on to top 8, where
Yup.
I played the Unicorn Keeper of Fire, who... honestly, like, he came out of the gates super hard and put me way back on my back foot. And this was a matchup that I had almost, little to no experience in, especially playing against a Kote level player. So my entire strategy was to do nothing. I was just going to sit there and not die and let him kill himself, which is a great way to play Scorpion, because they're probably the only clan that can actually win the game by refusing to advance the game state, as Ian has talked about before. All I did was poke and farm ring effects and let him attack me and murder his guys. And eventually he died to dishonor. He was able to grab his 1x yurt on the last turn to stay alive by going from 1 to 3 honor, which did tilt me for about 5 seconds until I leveled my head back and killed him.
He did charge
I
a
was
Keeper
also-
Initiate, though. That's tricky stuff.
Go ahead, Ian.
I was a little surprised he was only running 1 yet.
Yeah, I think it's an extreme mistake.
Did he,
Especially
like,
given
do-
the field.
I didn't ask him about it.
I see, shame.
given the fact that like Scorpion is such a popular deck, and there's just no real reason to not play it, because yes, sometimes you might have to pop it in the dynasty phase and you'll lose passing fate, but you can also just pop it later in the turn to just gain 2 honor. Like it's just like an easy way to keep yourself afloat in
You
a
have on a
matchup that you know
37
you're
card
gonna be in.
dynasty.
Yeah, and you're running a 37 card dynasty deck. Yada yada yada. It's good. I don't really know why he's only running 1, but especially because he's running things like Unleash the Jin, which he did go from 5 honor to 2 honor against me to try and play an Unleash the Jin, which basically won the game for me there. Like I said, my whole plan was to just sit there and let him kill himself, and he succeeded in doing that by attempting to Unleash the Jin.
Attempting to win the game is how you lose to Scorpion.
Yeah,
Correct.
for sure. Because then
Don't try and
Eric
win
was
the
just like, no.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that, actually. Those things you say don't happen.
Yeah, that's like a simplified version of what I've been saying for a long time. Just don't try
Right.
and win against Scorpion, and eventually they'll lose.
Yes. Yeah. So from there, also he was only playing 2 cavalry reserves, which is just like not correct. You need to have more counterable events. You need to have more events that have to be countered than I have counter spells. Considering I'm running 5 counter spells, that means you need like 8
3
plus
charges,
counter
3
events.
cav reserves, and like
Yeah.
2 Jins.
Yeah, you have to overpower my counter spells, which he didn't, because I ended the game with 1 Censure and 2 Forged still in my hand. Yeah, so you need to max out the cav reserves, or you're never going to make it through the counter spells, and you have to be ready and able to beat the Crane and Scorpion matchup if you want to play these decks that don't have counter spells, which means you have to play attachments or overwhelm them. Speaking of attachments, we're going to move on to my top 4 matchup, which was against Crab. This is when I was at my highest level of anxiety I think I've ever been in my life, and it's because it's such a good matchup for me. I would have to, I don't know, like literally have a fucking stroke mid-match to lose this game, and I was convinced I was going to find a way to do so. I'm playing 9 attachment hate over both of my decks, 2 of which are collectors, which you can use multiple times. I resolved a turn 2 Bayushi collector with 2 fate on it. He attempted to assassinate it. I said no with a forged edict, and then proceeded to just ruin his whole day. The card is just bonkers. It single-handedly it wins the matchup on its own. I didn't really have to do anything after counterspelling the
So,
assassinate.
if he's so
My
bonkers,
favorite.
why are you only running 2?
Because there's all of my other ones are also bonkers.
That are also.
I guess that's fair enough.
It's not like Crab is a metagame
don't
threat,
know.
dude.
I don't know. I mean, I found a way to play 3. So like,
Did you
clearly-
really?
I did. Yeah, I was playing 3.
Oh.
Well, I wasn't. on the
Damn, that's
dragon
crazy that you got Hatamoto playing 3, Brandon. Oh,
yeah.
oh,
Step.
shit.
No, no.
Oh.
So what I'm saying is,
I'm just
clearly
fucking
you
with
play 3 because Hatamoto is super overrated. No, yeah, you got me. Dragon Splash would have
Also-
been better.
Also, you need to remember that when you play Dragon Splash, 4 of your 10 conflict characters are taken up by the 1-drop dragon conflict characters, which are both insane. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
calling them broken is an understatement.
yeah, I mean, Tattooed Wanderer is a workhorse and has been since the game came out, and
And-
Ancient
and-
Master should never have been printed.
Yeah, Ancient Master literally won you your top 16 game.
I mean, it won me a lot of games. It just gets you the favor, and then I
Yeah,
play
it's-
2 Censures.
It is insanely good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
it's
ridiculous.
insanely good in the mirror, and it's insanely good against Crane too, because you have to get the favor to turn your Censures on to win those matchups.
Yeah, and the fact that I wasn't playing Ancient Master is why I cut down to 1 censure, because I just couldn't like reliably decide that I was
Yeah.
having the favor without my
For sure.
opponent's consent or
Some people play Ancient Masters and Fawning Diplomats on the other side to make sure they get the
Dear
favor, but
Lord.
I think that's too much personally. But you know, there's not a lot to talk about in the Crane or the Crab game.
There is. Because the best moment of the weekend happened in that game.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's the part where this exact thing happened. Yep.
So, I'm just like, he attacks into me with Can fight on be used to aggressive, like on offense or only on defense?
It was on
Only
defense.
on
Makes
defense.
sense.
Okay, yeah. So I attack into him for some like ring. I don't even. It was a void ring. I remember specifically it was a void ring because at the time there was 3 fate on his board. Why is that important that there's 3 fate on the board? 2 of them were on his witch hunter, and 1 of them was on Satoshi. And I am sitting in my hand with 2 fate worse than deaths, and I don't know, like 14 to 16 fate, so I can play them both. I know he has to block because if he doesn't block, I'm going to kill his 1 fate Satoshi with that he has towered. So he blocks with the witch hunter, and I snap fate worse than death, and then he fight ons to put it back in, and I snap fate worse than death again, and he goes, "Yep," and
It's like the most
And-
crab response possible, dude.
so I wipe his board. It's like 12 fate plus all the attachments that were on Satoshi, and yeah, the game's pretty much over there.
It's. I'm sorry. Like I want to cheer for crab, but goddamn, that is the funniest shit I've ever fucking heard. It's just
And
the most
then-
crab way to respond.
Yeah, it was well and truly a blowout. There really is nothing he can do. It's actually insane. And again, Collector comes in insane in that matchup too, because whenever somebody plays a Finger of Jade, when somebody plays a Finger of Jade on their tower, it feels so good because you say Way the Scorpion targeting that guy, and now they have to either let it resolve, in which you Collector off the Dishonor and the Finger of Jade and then kill their guy, or they pop the Finger of Jade and then you kill their guy.
Feels good. I like it.
The card is
It's
crazy.
We've been on Collector from the beginning. When everybody else starts using this because they see the God King, Hatamoto, Erik Stenberg is using it, just know that this shit started in New England, bitch.
I mean, you don't even have to look any further. Like, its ability is great. It's really useful. It does a lot of things. Doesn't matter. It's a 2 fate courtier that's in the conflict deck.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only relevant information that you need to
I mean, it's a
play
one
this
fate
well.
courtier because you could just not play anything the turn he's in your hand if you really don't feel like it. You just pass immediately for the fate, even if you're first player, because fuck you.
Yep.
So speaking of God King, I then went to the finals to play the actual God King Anil. It was not close. I misplayed the first turn extremely poorly and set myself up for what happened turn 2, which was me hitting Restoration for 11 cards and tilting off the face of the planet. I was just happy to be in the finals. I didn't even expect to make it that far. I was super happy with how far I came, and when I sat down, I even explained to him that I had no aspersions that I could actually win this game and was just going to have a good time, which I then proceeded to not have a good time.
You're gonna have a bad time, brother.
Yeah. So I can sit here now and tell you, and I've also said this on the podcast before, that in the Dragon Scorpion matchup, the Scorpion player has to play 2 guys on turn 1, has to aggressively spend cards on turn 1, and has to try and flip Restoration Balance as soon as possible. And I knew that, but then I don't know, maybe like the scope of the moment got to me, or I was just nervous or wasn't thinking straight. But I then just did nothing. And Anil was super happy to do nothing. He literally went first, played a Doomtree Genja, passed for Fate, and then before we had even drawn our cards,
man.
before I had even passed in the Dynasty phase, he said, "I'll bid 5, I'll pass my first conflict." And I was
Erik
so
is the first
flustered.
player.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. He knew exactly how the turn was going to go before it even happened, and the vast gulf of player skill really is all we need to talk about. He's just better.
He's a fucking
better
android
than-
sent from the future, dude. It really is that simple. He was fucking
So-
made by Dr. Giro and sent back in time to become Hatamoto 1,000 times.
So on turn 1, I only flipped 1 province. It was Pilgrimage, which is what set me up for turn 2. Because I know I can't poke Pilgrimage for the rest of the game and craft a winning game state that I could actually beat him. So I have to flip a province. So I take my 66% chance to flip a province that isn't Restoration and Balance, and I get card gamed, and I hit Restoration and Balance, pitch 11 cards. He plays an Investigator with 4 Fate on it, and then the next turn plays a Yakuni with 4 Fate on it, and doesn't even try and break provinces. He just destroys my hand for the whole game until I lose.
I like that.
Yay.
So he knows what he's doing, but he is actually mortal. I got within spitting distance of not losing. So.
Of not losing, but did you win?
Right.
Were you ever
Well, I
gonna
didn't
break
say
his
you wasn't
stronghold
about-
through a sacred sanctuary as Scorpion either?
Yeah, there's no
So-
chance.
No. So, like, God's honest truth, if I had been less of a scrub and slightly luckier, I could have won. I'm not saying I'm, like, favored. I'm saying if I play that guy 15 times, I'll win eventually. He's
Eventually.
immortal. That's all I got to say about it.
All right, so Neil, I hope you're listening. Ian wants to play you in a gauntlet of 15 games.
I don't think it'd
Money
be that.
matches.
I
All right.
genuinely will. I don't know how he would like sit through 15 games across the table from me, but if he wants to, why not?
All right,
We're
and
bringing
Ian,
Neil to
Ian
New
has,
England.
Ian has offered to fly you to New England.
So we've got this great new website called Jigoku, which is a lot cheaper and more convenient than that.
All right, we're moving on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All
We're
right.
not booking death matches here, unfortunately.
So
All right.
PAX. So any other PAX Unplugged?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting bits that we
PAX was fucking sick.
I'd like to monologue. So, in our particular group, I feel like we have long identified Scorpion as either the best or second best clan. And so we tend to shit on people who play it, Erik in particular. So I just want to say, excellent work, Erik. We're all very proud of you. You got shit done.
Hey, thank you very much.
I'll be back to normal tomorrow.
We are all very proud of you, Erik. Also, I'd
Thank
like
you.
to point out all of the shitting that is done in this podcast is on me. I think you'll find,
Yeah,
Derek. So thank you.
it's true.
Everyone
That's
bow
fair.
before your new
So
Hatamoto.
yeah, I feel like we only play one clan apparently in New England, but we were pretty well represented in the top 16. So I was pretty happy.
I mean, a couple of us play other clans. We just kind of got owned.
So, yeah, that kind of brings me into what I want to talk about next, which is if you want to bring up those statistics again, I don't know if you guys want to talk about the metagame that's about to change.
I mean, I think,
Yeah, I don't
think it's
mind.
worth at least noting where we're at right now.
Sure. So, the first thing I guess I want to talk about is what I said when you put up the statistics of what clans were played. In chess, there's like different levels of mistake. There are inaccuracies, which are like small mistakes. There are mistakes, and then there are blunders. And I'd like to talk about like which clans, like I feel like you can lose a tournament, not a game, but like if your goal is to win the tournament, I feel like you can make those sorts of errors before the tournament even starts in clan selection. And I'm curious like how you guys look at that.
I strongly agree with you. I actually couldn't agree with you more.
Like
In the current meta, at least.
if your goal is to win PAX,
You have two clans. Or you
There
have
are-
to be a
you
god.
have to play like I would argue you should pick one of two clans,
Yes.
maybe three. And any of the other ones, I feel like you are already saying that your goal is not, which is fine, but that's what you're saying.
I would agree, although I wonder what everybody else thinks.
I
I'm
would
very
say
negative.
that there's two more clans you can pick, and you're not saying that if you pick one of those clans, you're not saying your goal is to win. Your goal is to prove a point, and you could win, but your decision is straight up negatively impacting your odds of winning, even though it's not taking you completely out of the running.
Right. So that's why I brought up the levels of mistake. Because I think that we could say, like, Scorpion and Dragon are just straight up not a mistake. If you take them to a tournament to win, it makes sense. I would argue that Crane is like an inaccuracy. You could win, but probably some stuff has to happen for you to win.
In this particular Kote, and I think Erik might have the numbers, I don't have it right now, but I believe the Crane win rate versus Scorpion this weekend was 65%.
Yeah,
So
it's
I would
almost
argue that
65%.
Crane and Scorpion are the only correct choices, and Dragon is not an inaccuracy, but a potential
Yeah,
choice.
Dragon, there were two extremely good dragon players.
And it literally is just one dragon player who has done everything for the clan, like down to making the deck lists that everybody else copies. So like even that's hard to gauge because he's actually like unstoppable.
And then I would say that playing like Lion is just a straight up blunder. Like I think it's an unrecoverable.
I
Your
would
goal
argue
is
the
to
same
win
for
the
Unicorn.
tournament. I would too, but I was gonna kind of leave it up to other people.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely curious how people that aren't me view this because I'm super pessimistic in general.
So as far as Unicorn goes, you know, I think that Unicorn has a lot going for them right now. But I do think that there are some clutch cards that they have that require honor payments. And starting at 11, paying any amount of honor, you will just lose the game to Scorpion if the Scorpion player gets in control of the game or has like built their deck in a way that punishes that, which is like 90% of the Scorpion decks, or has like a really good grasp on the game.
So, go
I
ahead.
think I want to like say that like Unicorn kind of fall towards the other end of that blurry line, where then you know the three like yellow, blue, green clans obviously way better odds, but I think Unicorn like has a fighting chance, and you know you can go in like do everything right and still lose playing Unicorn to Scorpion. But you can also, like, the Scorpion player can do everything right playing into Unicorn and still lose also. So even though the odds aren't good, if you want to, like, prove a point that, yes, the ponies have game, I think that, like, you know, you're not just wasting your plane ticket by trying that.
I would agree until they took away the old system. Once you take away the old Hatamoto system, really like take away a lot of the reason to be clan loyal.
Why prove that point?
Yeah, that there's not really like the only point to prove is to like prove that they are a semi-viable deck, and at that point you really have to play well to a point where like I don't really see a reason to not treat this like a Magic tournament, which I mean, you're either playing the best decks or you're playing whatever you think has the ability to come out of nowhere and beat the best decks. So if you're on a read in a meta and you think, okay, Pax Unplugged I know is going to be Crane and Scorpion, and I think Unicorn has a really good matchup against those two, and I want to try and beat the meta, then you're allowed to come as Unicorn if you have that read. But if not, and you're not playing one of those two top decks, like yeah, you're not really trying to win, right?
And I think that's my larger point, is that like if our goal is to win, I think that there are not that many playable clans in the game.
Yeah.
I agree, but only because I think that like it's valid to have a goal of winning as Unicorn and acknowledging that that's not the same goal as winning, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Sure.
I definitely agree.
Yeah,
And
and
you're allowed
I think
to set whatever goals you want at the end of the day.
yeah, and you know I think that that's a valid point. I think that that's probably fair. However, I will say that the current changes to there not being clan challengers anymore significantly worsens or strengthens that argument.
I mean, we were. It was like a by the grace of some unknown higher power that a Unicorn player made it to top 16 in the first place without the Challenger system. Let's keep it real. Like there were
Yeah,
12 4-2s who made it to Challenger, and he happened to be
should
one
be-
of them. And he was good.
There should
but...
be 3 clans not in here. There should be like 1 random crab and then 3 missing clans. It's like a total fluke. I have one more thought, and then I want to be more positive. Which
I mean, is it a fluke if he just like played well and deserved it?
I
He
mean,
did
yeah,
just
because he
as well
has
as
it.
I did. In the
So-
Swiss, he did just as good as me.
No. Okay, I have an answer to that question. What was his record going in?
4-2.
How many 4-2s didn't make it?
There were 8 4-2s who made the cut.
How many
I bel-
4-2s did not make the cut?
I thought there was
believe
12
there were-
4-2s who made it.
I
No, there was
believe
8
that there
people
were
who made
Okay,
it naturally.
my bad.
I believe that there were 3 total people who did not make it at 4-2.
So
I believe.
he could have. There was an element of pairings and luck there.
Yeah, but that
Right,
also
but-
could have been me.
Like, unless I'm mistaken, though, like that guy's his 2 losses are like right here on this podcast, aren't they?
Yeah, they both are.
Yeah.
Right. And so we made it into like the top 16. So like the whole premise of strength of schedule is losing to like better players is less of a loss than losing to worse players.
Correct.
And if he'd been paired
That's how
differently,
the strength
maybe he
schedule
goes 5-1.
Well, likewise, winning against worse players is less of a win, which is the frustrating aspect
Exactly.
of strength of schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say he deserved to be in top 16. I am only saying that like it. This isn't to take away from anybody because this is going to sound a little inflammatory and perhaps rude. It's just that like this Kote's attendance like allowed a bunch of people who are 4-2 to just make it to day 2. And there being no clan challengers, like a bunch of 4-2 made it. Like we had like 70 people in the Kote. There's like a third of the last Pax Unplugged.
If more people showed up, I wouldn't have made it into the top cut, and I wouldn't have made it to the finals.
Right, like I don't think anybody here would have, right? Ian might have.
I went 5-1.
Yeah, Ian went 5-1. Yes.
But I mean, if I had gone 4-2, then Erik would have made it. So.
Right. Yeah. You guys hit the classic matchup. See who's on their game that day. But regardless, I mean, I don't know. What clans? I guess let's run down the line. Like, what clans do we think would be the correct clans if we were purely talking about winning from a competitive edge? Starting with Erik, what 2 clans or 3 clans or what clans do you think are the correct choices?
Last weekend is an event that has a meta all its own that we'll probably never see again. But if you can rewind time and you're trying to win the tournament and you go as anything other than Scorpion or Crane to prey on the Scorpion, you're wrong.
I would agree. Brandon?
I think Dragon can prey on Scorpion.
Yeah, I mean, Scorpion, Dragon, Crane. Dragon to a lesser extent for sure. You really need to know the game and really need to know Dragon well. But yeah, Scorpion or Crane, reasonable skill level. I think that's probably where you.
If you could rewind like 2 months and know you're going and get on Dragon then and play the shit out of them, then it can be an okay choice.
Right, but I mean, if you could rewind time and like play the tournament tomorrow, the correct answer is whatever clan you're best at, because whatever you're playing, you need to practice a lot to do well.
That's also true.
There's like many hundreds of hours just spent playing. You know, as much as we could say Scorpion and Crane are the picks because they're amazing, there's still hundreds and hundreds of hours of all of our Scorpion players playing Scorpion, you know?
I was on Dragon Splash because it's what I was comfortable as, even though I'm positive the Crane deck's better. So
I actually don't agree. But you're the Hatamoto, so I'll defer.
He is the Hatamoto.
I think
Erik,
the
say
Dragon
it.
one's better. I
Erik,
think
say
it's more consistent.
it is extremely more consistent.
Yeah, I think the other one I played against. So Devin was on the other one, and it seemed more fluky and
Consistency is probably key in Kote formats as well, given while it is best of one, an inconsistent deck that might be better over the course of hundreds of games. If you get the inconsistent part in a best of one format, you just lose. Like, you're out, see ya. Whereas if you play the consistent deck that is 5% worse over the course of 200 games, that's not really gonna matter because you're playing more consistently.
Depends on the matchup, actually. I think into Scorpion, the Scorpion Crane deck is more consistent than Scorpion Dragon.
Yes.
Just
That's
because
fair.
of Merc of Shame and Soul Beyond Reproach.
It's
that
way
you
better in the
consistent-
mirror.
Yeah, they let you consistently win the status
Those
war.
cards are also fucking
Against-
degenerate.
Yeah, against any other clan, I would agree that Scorpion Dragon's probably more consistent because of the attachment hate and Ancient Masters.
All right.
It's way better in the mirror, in my opinion.
So we've successfully dissected the now dead meta. New restricted list soon.
So yeah, I'm gonna ask about that. That's my
Mhm.
last question. So it was in May. So like 7 months ago, there was a restricted list that came out. What clans do we feel that nerfed?
Like the one we're on right now?
The restricted list, the current restricted list, what did it nerf?
Lion.
It's
it's
difficult to
everybody.
say. Lion got hit the hardest, I think.
It hit everybody. That was the point of the
I think Scorpion was the real
It
winner.
literally didn't hit
It
Crane.
It did not.
Like, it
touch
kind of
Crane.
did, I guess.
That's
but-
that's true. You're right.
No,
So I think-
it didn't touch Crane. Crane could still do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, I guess maybe you guys don't agree, but I feel like it hit Scorpion and Dragon. There is Forge Edict and Policy Debate on here, and there's Miyamoto's Fury, which they were both playing at the time, Pathfinder's Blade, and again, Policy Debate the Dragon was playing. So if a restricted list is coming out tomorrow or next week or whatever, we don't have to guess the cards, but which clans do you think that they're going to hit?
Oh, they're gonna hit
Scorpion
for sure.
like a fucking tactical nuke.
Yeah,
They're gonna
Scorpion,
overhit
Dragon,
Scorpion.
So if 2 restricted lists in a row we had hit Scorpion and Dragon, do we think that that's a problem for the game?
Yeah, for sure.
That
I mean,
6 months later we're hitting the same clan again.
If we could do it properly, like the thing is, it's hard to gauge because we're also releasing new cards. The first restricted list, for example, I've touted this a bunch of times. Like, it came out and Scorpion's win percent went up by 3% in Kote, or top 8%, but
Right,
it
'cause
also
it hit
coincided with
everybody
role
else.
change, which Seeker
Right,
of Void
but it
is
hit-
fucking incredible.
The thing is, it hit Scorpion. Sure, we lost like Church, which we were like already borderline on, and we lost Policy Debate, but everybody lost Policy Debate, arguably even Crane.
And like everybody
and-
lost Fury.
Right. So like we only had one staple code on the restricted list, which was Forged Edict, which we kept.
I
Like-
think you had 2.
Well, Policy Debate was for sure a staple, right?
And I think at the
Mm.
time, Miyamoto's Fury was everywhere.
Sure.
It was a big part of the Don't Defend because
But I don't think that I guess I wouldn't call those like staples so much as like the first 6 codes you put down before you build your 34 code deck. Like they weren't like part of the Scorpion.
That is actually
strategy
kind
so
of a
much
fair
they
way to
weren't
put it.
generically good. So them being removed from the game like shifts. It's a rising and lowering.
It was like a
tide
game
moves all
health thing
ships.
rather than addressing Scorpion specifically. Like, which is ostensibly
let
what
me
the
put it this
restricted
way.
list was.
Like we benefited from there being less Church and MF and Policy Debate. And like nobody benefited from there being fewer Forged Edicts because there weren't fewer Forged Edicts. The clans that were running them before kept running them, and the clans that weren't running them before kept not running them. So in a way, like, you know, arguably every clan was hurt by the restricted list. But the Scorpions were like hurt less than the average. And that's kind of the nature of a restricted list.
I don't agree because if the aggro decks were good, the loss of Miyamoto's Fury would have hurt you. It's just the aggro decks aren't good. Like the cards printed for aggro in this game are.
Dude, Miyamoto's Fury kind of shuts down my clan. I don't know if you've heard of us.
Yeah, Miyamoto's Fury is like a stupendously strong defensive card. It just every aggro deck sucks so much that you don't need it.
Yeah.
So maybe my perspective like is colored by the fact that I like kind of run aggro Scorpion. But you know, like we also get Fury. Our glories aren't that high. And I guess like the only difference is if we have to, we can counter it.
So I think that what the restricted list did to Scorpion was it you know to an extent it's kind of the same thing it did to Dragon, and it's also kind of the same thing that it did to you know the clans that had cards put on it. So there are cards that are just better than some of the other options on the restricted list, and what it meant is that you couldn't run those as well. What the restricted list didn't do was take away the best cards in those decks because Scorpion still runs Forged Edict. Dragon still runs Pathfinder's Blade. You know, Phoenix still runs against the waves, right? So what it did was it didn't take away their really impactful tools. It took away their slightly less impactful tools and kind of made it so that each one of those cards is only played by a specific, or in some cases, no clan, particularly in case of For Greater Glory, because there are just better options, right? So like Charge, I think, was Lion's best option back in the day. I think Charge is still Lion's best option, and I think that most Lion players play Charge as their restricted card.
Most Lion players actually are playing Scorpion now, but continue.
Well, okay, up until like a month ago with support of the Scorpion craziness. But,
No, I mean literally the clan Scorpion.
Oh, they've stopped playing. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I test line with a bunch of like Hatamotos. We don't play line anymore. None of us do.
Yeah. So like looking at having a restricted list kind of impacts everyone, but kind of not really do anything to anyone. except for Crane, which they left completely alone and they could choose one.
I mean,
Like it didn't.
didn't
it-
they
you know, it
say
do-
the
it just
restricted
doesn't-
list wasn't intended to be like this straight balancing nerf hammer? It was to remove degenerate shit from the meta. Am I incorrect? Like, I could have sworn that
You
was
are
their
correct.
intent. They were like, yo, this shit is fucking
They were not
degenerate, and
hitting
it's true.
specific
Like,
things. They were removing things from
charge and
everything.
policy debate were degenerate. They're just cards that shouldn't have been printed. Like, Pathfinder's Blade probably shouldn't have been printed.
Yeah,
You know, there's
so-
all
so
sorts
the-
of shit. They were just like, yo,
yeah.
this shouldn't exist.
Well, so the idea is so that there are interesting deck building choices that everyone has to make, and not just this is what the deck is. This is the card that you play, right? That was my interpretation of what they said that they were planning to do. That didn't happen. Everybody still had the card that they play. Like as a Scorpion player, I would never not play Forged Edict. If they banned Forged Edict, I would stop playing it, and under no other circumstances would I play
Okay,
anything else.
now hear me out. Like, let's say, like, I don't know, maybe they release a new restricted list, perhaps tomorrow, possibly.
It's next week.
And, like, let's say that on that restricted list is Forged Edict and, I don't know, like, a fate worse than death. How do you feel then? Do you feel like a Crane player?
No, if I felt like a Crane player, I would be able to play Forged Edict and Fate Worse Than Death and Policy Debate.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to go too deep into the rumors, but the point is, like, if a new restricted list comes out and they have to hit the same clans again, which is going back to the original question that was asked, I don't necessarily view that as, like, I'm the first person who will say, like, I'm not sure about the health of the competitive meta of the game, but I will also say that them having to go back for, like, a second bombing run is not necessarily the worst thing in the world, and I'm happy that they're willing to even do it if that is the case. Because if they took too light of a touch, as shitty as the meta can be for however long it lasts, I'd prefer they take too light of a touch than to orbital nuke a clan into unplayability.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, we can sit here and be like, haha, you didn't do a good enough job the first time, so you have to do it again. Like,
No, that's
is
not
that
at
really
all.
so bad?
No, that's not at all the point I was getting at. But I think that
No, yeah,
for
I didn't mean
sure-
you were. I just mean in general.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, the fact
I
that they're
also
willing
meant
to
in
look
general.
at it again now and are seriously, you know, tooling it around and coming up with some better ideas to adjust to the meta how it is now, so that we have some better options and some more interesting choices and not just kind of solve it. I think that that's a good thing. I'm glad that they're approaching it again.
Yeah.
I expect at least one new card. So to me, that's more concerning than that they left a card alone the first time and like are going. I expect at least one card that's been printed since then. And
Oh,
so
for sure.
they didn't learn a lesson.
For sure. I mean, but there's also just there's
I mean, you
X
can just
amount of
say it.
playtesters, right? There's only so many playtesters. You know,
You're
like
talking
they're
about duty, right?
I actually don't expect that to be on there, but it
Yeah,
probably
I've-
should be.
it should be. I just don't
No,
expect
but
it
I'm
to.
saying you said you meant you expect there to be one card that was newly printed or whatever. So I was asking what that one
I'll
card
just
was.
tell you what it is. Hold up, dude. Tadaka. Void Fist.
I'm asking Derek.
Yeah, no, I'm throwing out
Alright.
guesses.
I'd be curious if Void Fist was not on there.
See? It's Void Fist. I mean, Void Fist is one of those cards that I could look at it and I could almost like imagine how it could get through playtesting. Because like the idea is that there is an invisible cost attached to it. That idea just holds actually zero weight the moment you learn how to play the game. Because like playing your zero cost attachments onto your dude doesn't have to happen before a conflict. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like,
yeah.
I do.
I get how it got through, though, is what I'm saying. Like, it sure... The moment we saw it, we were like, this card's busted, ridiculous, I can't believe this happened. But, like, I can give them, as much as I hate to do so, I can give them, like, the human benefit of the doubt that, like, it was purely an accident that card actually was printed. Because clearly it had to have been an accident. I refuse to believe that it wasn't. That said, I mean, the long and short of it is that, you know, a new restricted list would probably be cool, and that this meta that just passed was a one tournament meta, and it was just unfortunate that it had to be one big tournament that a bunch of us, you know, paid $1 bazillion to go to. but that's okay because Eric's a fucking Hatamoto. That's really the big takeaway from this. Eric is a fucking Hatamoto.
Yeah. Clearly,
Yeah,
it was a good
It was a good fucking meta, bitch.
good meta for me.
It's like the best meta that's ever happened, dude.
Yeah. I
I
mean, honestly, if you think about it, like it's actually like a terrible meta for a Scorpion main to go into. But
fuck it, right? You came out
I
the
was
other
lucky,
end.
I don't
only had
know.
to-
Like you were ready for the mirror match, and there was a lot of that.
right? And I only had to play Crane twice, and I lost them in Swiss and beat them in top 16 where it mattered. So
There's
Yeah.
my problem. I should have only played Creighton twice instead of 3 times.
Yeah, you should have tried
Probably,
being
yeah.
a Hatamoto level player, and then you would have.
Damn. Okay, so do you remember when they like segways were first started to be popular and they were like the new big technology thing that was happening?
Yeah.
you're talking about the scooter, not segueing
yeah,
into
yeah,
another topic.
No, the scooter thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So on the note of interesting new technology that's been applied to things, anybody got anything they want?
God. Yeah, the fucking app at PAX was trash. Best Coast Pairings is fucking trash. That shit was awful. The shit stopped working after the first fucking round. It was miserable to submit our deck lists on it instead of just handing them a piece of fucking paper. It was easily the low light of the weekend in regards to the tournament and the logistics of it. It was fucking miserable. Absolutely miserable. It didn't
I
work for
shout
one of my
outs-
opponents past the first round.
Shout
I'd
outs
like to point out-
head judge Ryan Rocket. Shout out to Mel. Shout out to Andy and all the other judges that were there. You guys were super fucking cool and you
Yes.
killed it.
Yo, big shout out to the
that
judges.
app Was absolute dog shit, and whoever's idea it was should be dragged into the street and shot.
Perhaps hit by an 18-wheeler, Eric? Would you go so far?
So I was about to say that I would like to take this opportunity to remind everyone that Luis's opinions don't necessarily address the opinions of
What about
everyone
my
here at
opinion?
New England L5R. But now I don't know what to say. I don't feel
New
that
England
the app
L5R
is a
does not
complete
support the opinions
complete
of these
dumpster fire.
knows what
Are you
works.
joking?
No, I'm not.
It
How could
didn't
you possibly
work.
not? It literally didn't
Okay.
work for anybody that I faced in
Okay.
multiple, like,
So-
through the whole proving grounds and after the first round of the Kote, I had to continuously grab a judge and be like, hey, can you confirm that I just won this or lost this because your app doesn't fucking work? Like,
Okay. So, can I have a moment?
yeah,
Sure, go ahead.
you're just wrong.
Okay.
I just want to let you know. Like, I wanted to let you know beforehand.
So, as someone who has been in the organization and arbitration of major card game tournaments for a number of years, those of you who do not know, I was an LT Magic judge in New England for a number of years, so I have some experience and kind of know what I'm talking about. This idea to use an app for pairings is something that a lot of folks have been talking about for a really long time. So the first thing that I would do here is I would say kudos to Cascade Games for having the guts to try something like this.
Can we pause right now?
Absolutely.
Nobody is upset at the idea of having an app.
Why did we
that
pay to
does
beta
this.
test it?
Like it's an awesome idea if it had worked. But
They
like,
had the developer writing
yeah.
fucking code for the app while we were playing because we were like, hey, it
when-
doesn't work.
When you identify that it doesn't work round 2 when the whole thing crashes, instead of forcing people to keep using it, just grab some slips of paper.
Are we good on pause?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. So kudos to Cascade for trying something new. That being
Hell
said,
yeah.
their implementation of this particular app is something that I've heard that they've done with other events before. Although I can't verify that because I've never been. And in other games, they've not had the issues supposedly that they've had in this. That being said, I don't necessarily think that they did a particularly good job administering it at this event. I know for a fact the designer of the app was somewhat upset about the app being used for this event, knowing that the decision was told to the designer of the app, or rather, maybe not necessarily the designer, but the guy who runs the company that like the app's about, that makes the app, I should say. Found out about 11 p.m. the night before Friday, the Kote. So
Well, we found out the morning of.
So we found out. Technically, we could have found out the day before.
It was the
like,
night
an
before.
e-
I got an email at
email
11
went out,
p.m.
Yeah.
on Thursday night.
After we drove 4.5 hours.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we were literally in our
Passed out.
hotel ready to go to bed, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I got a fucking email. I guess we're using an app. Better get it."
So there's an app. So I think that they could have avoided a lot of the problems that the app had if they had, decided to do this like a week ago, or like let anybody know that that was going to happen before, which is one of the big things that I think that they failed very badly at. They should not have made the decision the night before, and if they had made the decision before, they absolutely should have told everybody well before 11 p.m. the night before the tournament. As far as actual problems with the app, it was, to the best of my knowledge, only the Android users that were having problems.
There was a major problem that we are not talking about yet. I'm gonna cut in here rudely.
You got it?
Like, it was actually fucked up. The strength of schedule was not correct. It was not doing it correctly.
Yeah.
Max
I was
Williams,
gonna
the
wait until
crab.
we finished,
Yeah,
But on top of all that, it also was just
like
wrong.
he manually
getting
did the
to that.
math for strength of schedule, and then a guy came in the next day, and they had to be like, "Sorry, you're not top 16. Go fuck yourself." Like, that's bad.
Yeah. I was getting to that, but so like they done screwed up in a number of ways. Certainly, different companies use different strength of schedule and different calculations for their software. But the big fail overall was the fact that they calculated strength of schedule inaccurately for the top 16. So they decided to put this new app into use without even verifying the math to make sure that the tournament would be reported correctly. Which,
Also-
like, again, super big shout out to Ryan Rocket and to the rest of the judge staff for being able to handle that. I didn't, to the best of my knowledge, see anybody at the registration booth like be attacked by an angry L5R player, and like nobody like hung themselves in the middle of the tournament hall. So like they clearly did at least something correct in like giving that guy all of the prizes that exist. But like if they had taken the time to double check this and like maybe check to make sure everything was correct before they just decided to throw it out there, they probably could have avoided all of these issues.
Like from the get-go, it just wasn't working. We couldn't upload our deck lists onto it.
So yeah, I mean there were all kinds of different issues. Like I didn't have any problem uploading my deck list. I uploaded it fine.
I could not.
Yeah, the entire
Yeah, a
rest
lot
of the
people
group
had
did.
problems with it. I know there were several times during the event that they had actually pushed updates during the Kote for the
Yeah.
Android version of the app. I updated twice myself.
For me, it
which is
crashed.
interesting.
For me, it crashed round 2 and did not open again for the rest of the weekend.
Yep.
So Kyle got messed up with on the deck list thing. No, that's not a thing. So like yeah, there's all kinds of different issues that came up, and I think that if they had just tested it or like had the plan going into the event instead of deciding it last minute, it could have gone much better. But I think it could have gone worse, and ultimately the idea of using the app the way that it was designed was pretty much good. I did spend a good amount of time talking to the actual app guy, like the guy who was on site doing the calling his team to push updates. And I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't think it was that bad of a deal, and the fact that I could go back and look up stuff throughout the tournament was pretty handy. I will say though, not app related, or kind of app related, like Cascade deciding to basically just not put up pairings and not hand out match slips on the same time at the same time that they're beta testing this new software, so that they have a paper trail to back up the app until they know that it works, is a huge miss.
That's just wild.
It is astounding that
And,
that is a thing that happened.
Normally,
That's not necessarily the app's fault. That's something that they should have done and known to do as a company who runs games all over the place. And I think that if they had just done that little thing of also printing out the match slips and making sure you had a thing, I think everything would have been fine. But they didn't do that, and so it was a shit show.
yes and no.
I think we're good here.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, normally I get the disclaimer that they don't share my views. Just want to make it clear that I don't think any of us share Brandon's views. That app fucking sucked. I want it to be very clear that I'm not nearly as okay with it as he was. That shit was trash. I paid money to enter that Kote and beta test a piece of shit app that didn't work. Really want to make that very clear. That'll be all, though.
I just kind of wish I knew in advance that I was going to need internet to play in my cardboard tournament because my phone did not have it. And even if even if the app worked, I still would have been screwed. So they should have at least given some notification.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun because like my app just wouldn't launch, so I basically also didn't have internet. Where I had to ask a judge for my pairings, I had to call a judge to report every match.
Yep.
Once I was in top 16, I had to borrow Ryan's iPad to view my opponent's deck lists every round.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, it was a fun time. But let's talk about some
Well,
cool stuff.
let's give them
I'm
another
just gonna
shout
real
out, though.
quick-
The judges were awesome.
Yeah, Ryan.
I love you all.
Dope ass dude. The last two things I want to cover about PAX were the prize wall because it was dope. The way they're doing prizes this year and the ability to like participate in things, side events to like get the ability to get more stuff, or just the ability to, even if you went 0-6 through the Kote, that's still enough Koku to actually like buy a set of your clan's card.
Yeah.
It's just like a much simpler and nicer and more feels good way to do prizes, I feel like.
Yeah, it was definitely good.
And then coming from that, Enlightenment was like the highlight of the weekend, and
Oh, man.
like it's so much fun. And we're definitely going to be working on our own Enlightenment format. And I'm definitely going to push people to bring Enlightenment decks to locals.
Yeah.
I expect everybody who shows up at the next two events on this weekend to bring a jank Enlightenment deck for fun.
It is
awesome.
so fucking fun. And I mean, we built these decks at like 1 or 2 a.m. the night before the Enlightenment Day, which was just like, you know, casual games, whatever. And we built the most horrifying, terrible jank. I mean, it was bad, and it was fucking awesome. A lot of our cards didn't work the way we thought. A couple of the cards were actually banned in the format, and we had to replace them. But what happened was, like, so we handed Neil this deck, and it's Dragon. It's running, like, written in the fucking stars, all this weird monk tech, high kick. Like, it's just bad. And we go to play his card, and it actually means, like, something totally different. And the judge is like, oh, it doesn't actually work that way. And we're just like,
We went,
oh,
nah, fuck you.
yeah. And no offense to the judges, but we were just like, okay, we're going to keep playing our way because it's way more fun. And they were like, I guess.
Okay.
Like, yeah, what are you going to do? Fucking disqualify us from our Enlightenment pod that we just fucking formed? Like, but it was awesome. And again, we have these stupid rules we've imposed on ourselves. We forced Erik to play, like, Crab Berserkers, and I wouldn't allow him to play any of the good Crab cards. It was
And
like I was
allowed to attack politically except with Taka.
because he's the only smart crab. Like, I reluctantly allowed him to play Caillou Envoys.
That was probably the best card in my whole deck.
Yeah. At one point, the best card in his deck was Yasuki Oguri, and he had to cut it because it was too fucking good. Like, we weren't allowed to play court games and bonsais and shit. It was so fun. So fun.
Yeah, basically we're gonna make a ban list for Enlightenment that's gonna be like, I don't know.
Everything remotely playable.
Longer
Like
than
40
a whitelist. Just
Yeah,
make a
yes.
whitelist. You'll save paper.
Yeah, that's true. We're gonna make a whitelist of cards you're allowed to play, and basically you're gonna look at a card and be like, "Is this good?" And if you say yes, you can't play it.
And if you want to play certain cards, you have to write like a thesis paper
Oh,
on
yeah,
why
yeah,
it
yeah.
fits the theme of your deck. Like,
You
you have to
can-
play a theme deck.
You can play good cards. Like I played Charge in my Crab Berserker deck, which is a good card, but it's on theme, so you're allowed to play it.
Oh man, yeah, cards like
the
Born
monk-
in
the-
War giving your guy plus 15.
Yeah,
The Dragon Monk deck had Mitsu in it. You're allowed to do that because it's on theme.
Yeah, he might not be allowed to have covert though. Like,
Yeah,
Was-
we reserve
was
the right to
Born in
change
War-
cards.
Was Born in War one of the cards that you knew you were playing wrong, or was that one of
Yes.
the ones?
yes,
That you... Okay.
Born in War and Written
So,
in the
like,
Stars
if-
in particular.
Yeah.
Written in
So
the Stars was
normally-
the biggest blow.
Normally,
Yeah.
enlightenment, whenever something says your claimed or unclaimed rings, whenever it specifies a specific type of ring, unclaimed or whatever, it only means yours. So like Born in War is like actually terrible. It's like worse than it is it's the exact same as it is in 2-player.
Yeah,
But
so it's still
Yeah,
in
terrible.
it's dumb.
multiplayer, it gets way better if you can, instead of counting to 5, count
Yeah.
to 15.
We want Written in the Stars to give our Seeker of Enlightenment plus 15 plus 15.
We gave
So
we
that's
gave
how we're doing
Palumbo the fucking unicorn deck, and at first he didn't get it because it was such a shit deck
Yeah.
that we were
He
all
was
playing
like,
such
"This
shit
is
deck.
so bad.
And by
We're
the
like,
time I hit him with 2 high kicks, he was like, "Okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down." Like, he was beginning to get it. Cause oh man, I had more fun playing Enlightenment and brewing those decks than I have had playing L5R probably in the entirety of the time I've played the game, besides like my first week. Like, it is so fun.
Somebody who didn't make a meme deck came with a dragon deck, and he played a Doom Shugenja on turn 1. And we were like, "That's not fair. You can't
Yeah,
play that. That's
we
a good card.
they hit Resto and they were just like, "Come on, dude."
That's a good card. Come on."
Yeah, like, you're not allowed to play fucking anything good. You're allowed to play court games in Pacifist Phoenix, which is not allowed to attack. But then we also learned that you don't claim rings on defense in Enlightenment. So you're just fucked.
So the Phoenix deck literally can't win unless you like
You
your
mill them
opponent
out
deck.
with fucking yeah. It was awesome because the decks were so low powered and terrible. It made it a billion times more fun than it had any right being. Like, incredible.
Yeah, I think that's like PAX.
So I'm
super fun
glad you
before the
guys
state.
had fun with Enlightenment. I'm also real glad I played Guild Ball that day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as you should be.
I mean,
It was fun,
we-
but man,
if we weren't playing Enlightenment, I would not have want to looked at an L5R card after 2 days of the Kote. But like, I actually did have a lot of fun on Sunday.
yeah, dude. Kyle texted me the night before. He's like, "Dude, Jerojan's becoming dragon in Enlightenment," and I was like, "Man, I'm way ahead of you. We already had like half the deck. Kyle, we cannibalized that deck like 3 times over trying to make it work. Like, we put in the Jerojan's becoming shit at the end, and had to cut a bunch of monk shit. It was fucking awesome."
And in the end, you forgot Embrace the Void to make your
Yeah.
billion force.
Dude, I had a 6 Fate Yoritomo in the dragon deck, and it was like I put 3 Fate on him on turn 1, and he ended up with 6 Fate at the end of the game 2 turns later. It was so sick.
Mantra of Fire, baby.
Mantra of Fire is too fucking good. We might unban Tadakatsu, but he kind of breaks the format, so maybe we won't. He
You're
might be a
allowed to
little.
play him in the stupid monk deck.
Are you? He's on theme.
I think so.
Okay, we do have to find a way to nerf your.
Until we play the game.
All right, the latest nerf is to Crab Berserkers, where if you see a Moro flop, you have to buy him.
Yeah,
There's
even
much
if you
fate as you
can't
can.
attack politically. Even if you can't attack politically, you have to buy it.
Yeah,
With all of your fate.
yeah, with all of your Fate.
Basically, as a deck does better and better in the format, we'll nerf it more. And,
In
live.
increasingly
We'll
more
live
stupid
nerf
ways.
it. Yeah, because right now Crab Berserkers is 3-0.
Yeah, that shit's clearly too powerful. Like, maybe
Too powerful.
maybe it can't run charge. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out.
I actually bought a Tainted Hero and put Fate on it.
I'm sorry to break this to you, but it's not 3-0 because I achieved enlightenment by knowing the world.
Oh no, you. Oh, well, it's 3-0 under my piloting.
Damn, Know the
Yeah,
World
that's
is so
that's fine.
fucking
Yeah.
sick.
I knew the world several times actually. We played several pods, and each time I just kept knowing the world.
Dear
What,
fucking Lord.
what deck were you playing?
Oh, dude,
The know the world dragon nonsense that you handed me.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
yeah, yeah.
putting-
That deck's sick, right?
putting Fate on somebody else's ring and then using Jade Masterpiece to fucking steal it and put it on your own ring.
Yeah.
So
not how
fucking-
the card
Yeah,
would work.
no,
But
no,
so
yeah,
stupid. So stupid.
We were playing by like the normal rules though. I just
No,
kept
fuck
like
Yeah, fuck
I
that.
just kept
Dude.
breaking people's provinces and stealing their rings and then swapping them
Yeah,
out for one of
dude,
my rings. So
nah,
Anil had a 35-35 Seeker of Enlightenment.
Dude, I force shame that thing once a turn for like 3 turns, and then I just died to it. Like, the moment I didn't have any force shames left. He bought the Seeker of Enlightenment with 6 Fate turn 1 because he made a deal that neither of us would assassinate it if he didn't attack us. It was fucked, dude.
Oh, can we talk about like how great it would be if we just everybody played decks that can only win through dishonor, but then everybody else just makes deals to prevent you from dishonoring by breaking them through. So like just like 4 or 5 honor just floats around the table to be like the cushion from.
Yeah,
all
you
of
could
the
end an
dishonor that's
Enlightenment
happening.
game in like what? one turn. And Neil had like a strategy.
Yeah, so the first one I played, which is the one that they decided that we couldn't do again, like Ryan actually was like, no. I bought a Bayushi manipulator and an ignoble enforcers with and then reacted to put all 3 honor on it, then assassinated and didn't defend an air conflict and died before the first conflict was over.
Dope.
It's fucking godlike. And yeah, like it was like kind of Koku farming, but it ended up being so fun that we just played it out and didn't farm
wasn't
Koku with it.
farming because we actually played all our games to
Yeah.
kind of go fast.
Yeah, because like the decks were so shitty that one deck would get a lead and the shitty decks could never come back. And like even though the shitty deck was winning, it had the lead, so go fuck yourself, Pacifist Phoenix. It was a
I
blast.
think that's our stupid show, right?
I mean,
The
well,
only
let's
thing-
talk about how fucking
you know-
dope Philly was, though. Philly was sick. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it was super
yeah,
fun.
Philly was
The food was good.
Yo, that ramen place, I'm going back there next year for sure. That place is banging.
there are definitely some really good ramen joints in Philly. Strongly recommend.
There's one
I
out
would-
here in Western Mass now. You should just come out here.
Oh, we should.
Deal.
Say us collectively killing like 3 bottles of sake and then a couple sake bombs between us all was quite a time. And then me
You're all
getting
over
lost and
those
wandering
recommendations.
around for like 30 minutes, being like, "Where am I?" That sucked. Definitely
I was
sucked.
asleep.
Yeah, I just like wandered in. And I was like, "Oh, can I turn the light on?"
So that's our stupid show.
I do have one last thing.
That's not our stupid show. Go on.
It's not. So anybody who's interested in getting the L5R models that Privateer Press is putting out through their kit, you have only about 15 more hours. I think it's like midday tomorrow before you can't order them anymore
shit.
and get all of them. So you got to order it all. It's like $100. I was really pumped on it until they announced that the crab model was fucking Tomonatsu because why wouldn't it be? But
There's 3 of that card in the Crab Berserker deck.
That's awful. But yeah, if you're interested in getting the Privateer Press like mini crate models and you want to get them all, you have to do it in the next 15 hours. You won't be able to get the free 7th model by subscribing to the whole kit.
Man,
Or the first
$100
one.
sure is a lot of money.
It is a lot, but you also won't be able to get the first one anymore after tomorrow, which is Togashi Okuni. So
I'm good. I think I'm good.
If I had to use for it, I would be less good, but I'm
Yeah,
good.
if there was an L5R miniatures game, I would have already bought it. But there ain't.
yeah, let's not give Fantasy Flight any more ideas.
Oh god.
Why would I not give them that? You can have that idea, free of charge.
Damn, free? You should probably like, I don't know, man. You might want to have to cut a deal with them.
Like slide me a set of the original strongholds, which I learned that last year in Grand Cote Top 8s, the top 8 players got a full set of the strongholds, which I didn't get. So
Wait, the
go ahead
acrylics?
and give me. Yeah. So
What
can
the
I please
fuck,
have
dude?
those, please? Hello.
Oh my god, get fucked, dude. Your Hatamoto
Yeah, it's
sucks.
Super cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth noting it was only Grand Cotes too. It wasn't Cotes. The one that I top aided last year in Atlanta was a Cote, so I didn't get them.
Get
They
fucked.
just
Yeah.
didn't give them out to Cotes, which is great.
Yeah, I learned that on Facebook like yesterday that I got screwed because I also got screwed because once you got into top 16, you no longer got Koku, so you're like
Yeah, get
actively being
fucked,
punished
dude.
for doing well.
Yeah, getting bounced into the Proving Grounds was pretty good because then I got like 10 more or 11 more Koku from
Yeah.
the Proving Grounds.
Yeah, I finished with 30, which was enough to get playsets of 5 of the 7 clan cards, but I really would have liked to get the last 2.
I mean, yes, and like you probably won't regret it too much. I mean, you're not gonna miss Shigeru and fucking Shono.
I
Or
didn't
Shigeru
get-
and Hiroe.
There you go.
There you go.
Can I close the show out now?
Yeah, any final words from anybody? All right.
Brandon,
Yes.
do you have any final words?
No.
Kyle, do you have any first and final words?
I had a really great time and I love you all. And congratulations.
I love you too, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for
man.
having me, man.
Don't be afraid to just fucking
Thank
yell
you.
over us. I know we like to talk a lot, but
This is the Luis and Erik show.
yeah. Well, we're gonna have Kyle on for another episode sometime, so I can make him talk. It's all good.
Derek,
yeah.
I'm good.
cool. Ian,
Ian.
You owe me the top 4 game for the New England L5R Discord League.
Yeah, we're rolling into that right now. I'm trying to
We
end this
sure
stupid
are.
show. Can you let me end this stupid
Well.
show?
Fine, let's do it then.
Okay. This is our stupid show. Nobody listens to this. I can say whatever I want. Penis, I'm gay. See you guys all later.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay, bye.
Bye.